been a week, but I'm back and my logo's not showing because, what else is going on? And for those that just tried to join, I apologize. I tried to fix the logo to join and then come back. We're having issues. People are not deleting the recordings on here. So people of the bench sports, please delete your recordings. But I digress. Not that that matters. We're here today with a very special guest. No Derek Gow today. He's out in Montana. I hope he's listening. Derek Gow teaching those kids how to play golf. But I got a very special guest here today with me, and that is Trinity University outfield baseball star and hopeful joining man of the bench sports, and that is Adam Jue. Adam, my dad coached you in high school baseball. You and I, we've lived in the same town. We're both from Pleasanton, California, went to Foothill High School. How's it going? What's going on? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and welcome to Not That It Matters.
Well, Max, it is an honor. It is a pleasure for you to have me on this podcast. Ever since I graduated a few months ago, I've been stuck at home. I've been enjoying it. I've been relaxing, but I'm unemployed. So I've been stuck at home and being able to do this with you. I really enjoy talking sports with my dad. And Dad, I love you. If you're listening, and I know that you are, I love you. But it's refreshing to be able to talk sports with someone a little closer to my age. So Max, thank you for having me on the podcast. I played baseball at Trinity University. Please do not Google my stats, but technically I played all 4 years. Political science major, just graduated a few months ago and trying out this show. And I'm super excited, super hyped up to be able to join you.
Yeah, awesome. Political science and a live radio show, they definitely go hand in hand. Well, tell me a little bit more. I mean, why baseball? Do you still play? Do you want to play in like any sort of adult league, old man league, whatever it might be? Well, who knows? Maybe you go play with your dad. My dad likes calling his baseball league the Old Fat Men's Baseball League. We're not old enough to even play next. They're pretty old there. But other than unemployed, are you still trying to play baseball in some sort of rec league? What's going on? What's the next steps other than job searching?
Yeah. Right now I'm playing in an adult men's league. The ages ranges between 21 and 35. I'm on the San Francisco Fire. Please go check us out. We're playing at Moscone Field in San Francisco on Sunday, 2 p.m. If you can go to the game.
Nice. But yeah, he's plugging his own beer league team.
Exactly. Minus the beer, unfortunately. We're really committed to our profession.
He calls it a profession, so maybe you're not.
No, but I really enjoy it. You can look up my stats for those. I'm doing much better than I was in college.
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
We won't mention that it was D3, but it was D3 college. I don't know if I said
it was
before.
D3. Hey, college is college. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah, D3 is much fun as D1, minus the facilities, minus, all the media hype, but it's still a lot of fun. And the adults men's league is a lot of fun. I'm just here. I just wanted to continue playing baseball anywhere I can, anyhow, any age. I'm down. So
yeah,
that's why.
He's good. He's good to play. And, he's got the coaching from my father back in high school. And I'm really sorry about that. I hope he didn't ruin you too much. Maybe that's why you went D3 and D1.
His coaching changed my career, man. It's for the better.
Oh, D3, not D1. We'll see. But we digress. Not that it matters. I haven't been on the air in the week. And let's say I'm a little disappointed because I couldn't get to do Friday's show with Nathan because Friday, as many of you know, was the MLB Trade Deadline. And I know Adam is a big Giants fan and they went ahead and got Chris Bryant, but holy crap. Before we get into any of the trades, Adam, was this the best trade deadline in MLB history? Tell me why it was, what you liked about it, and give me your thoughts on the Chris Bryant move.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big guy on Twitter, but on Instagram, all the comments were saying this has been the craziest trade deadline in MLB history. You got Javi Baez, you got your Yankees getting Joey Gallo, you got the Dodgers getting Scherzer, Trey Turner, and then of course you got my Giants getting Chris Bryant, and let's not forget to mention Tony Watson, the relief pitcher from the Angels. So this Chris Bryant trade is absolutely huge. We traded away Caleb Killian, pitcher who only pitched as high as Double-A. He had a 2.13 ERA in both Single-A and Double-A. And then we traded away our 9th best prospect in our system, Alexander Canario. So we gave up a couple prospects, but it's totally worth it for getting Chris Bryant for the rest of the summer. He's athletic. What Gabe Kapler described him as a modern baseball player. He can play multiple positions. Evan Longoria has been out with an injury, so he can definitely play third base. Left field is wide open. Alex Ferguson is having a bit of a tough year this year. So Chris Bryant brings a lot of pop, a lot of star power into this lineup. That a lineup that has hit the most home runs in the National League, but they just don't have real star power outside of Buster Posey and maybe Brandon Crawford. So getting Chris Bryant is just a great weight off the shoulders of some of our bigger hitters in our lineup. So I'm super excited, super stoked. I heard that we were going to get Trevor Story previously, but actually I'm much more happy with Chris Bryant.
Yeah, I mean, he said he grew up a Giants fan. He's a big Bear Browns fan, so hopefully he's not using steroids. But let's go from there. I digress. Obviously, you mentioned Javi Baez and then Anthony Rizzo, the three Cubs, and I thought it was pretty special to see all three of them homer in their debut for each team. That's Baez with the Mets, Rizzo with the Yankees, and Bryant with the Giants. Now, I do think the under the radar ad was I do believe was that Tony wants to trade. The bullpen for the Giants definitely needed another arm. But in terms of the Giants season, before we get into more of the trades, give me what your thoughts on the season. What was your original expectations? What are your expectations now? And then can Kevin Gausman and Anthony DeScalfani continue this? And I'm very happy to see Posey not get that concussion after a foul ball off his helmet.
That was scary. Yeah, he had to be taken out the inning after. So I'm glad he's okay now. He came up with a huge double yesterday to give us the win against the Diamondbacks. But yeah, the Tony Watson trade was actually pretty big. Just going into the season, I think everyone expected the Giants, to be maybe slightly under 500 team this year. But they actually exceeded expectations last year during the COVID year. They almost made the playoffs. This year, they are on track to make the playoffs. They're the best team in baseball. They're exceeding literally everyone's expectations. You, as a Yankees fan, as a non-Giants fan, what were you? Because I'm maybe a little biased, so maybe I want to get a little more objective perspective on what maybe the Giants' expectations were.
Well, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not think Gabe Kapler was going to be this good of a manager. Now, how much of this is people playing for contracts and how much of this is Gabe Kapler's management? I do think bringing a new voice, we love Bochy, and I think he did a great job, obviously, with the 3 championships, but a new voice was needed. And I think they took a chance on a lot of guys like Gausman, like DeScalfani, like McGee, and Crawford, who's coming up towards the end of his contract. I believe he's only got one more year left in his current deal. These guys are playing for their MLB lives, their MLB careers. Now, do I think they can hold off the Dodgers? No. But do I believe they can make the wild card? Yes. And I think it's going to be Giants, Padres in the wild card. And it all comes down to starting pitching in that game. But going into the year, I thought they were a 500 team, maybe 5 to 6 games over 500. I did not think they were going to be a middling team. I really didn't, because they're not a bad roster. They just didn't have a good roster. I think the addition of Chris Bryant really helps, and it kind of shows that management and Farhan Zaidi is going for it. He's going for, like they've got nothing to lose, right? And the Giants, in recent years, in the past decade or so, have really gotten out of that small market, like we're not going to try and spend a lot of money, into going for things. They're maybe not all in like the Dodgers and the Yankees of years past, not anymore, but they're willing to spend a little bit of money to get. And obviously, I think the biggest key cogs in this have been Kevin Gausman. Buster Posey has reinvigorated his career. And then our Foothill alum, Brandon Crawford, has been absolutely insane. And I know they're getting Belt back. And then I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Evan Longoria when he comes back, if he's coming back. You haven't heard much of him, but he's not as good as Chris Bryant, that's for sure. But yeah, it's been good. So let's go ahead and start. Let's go through these trades. Obviously, we talked about the Giants. Is there a specific trade that stood out to you? And for me, there's a couple. I think it was the 2 trades, which was one was pretty obvious, which was the Dodgers go ahead and getting Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, 2 top talents. They give a lot of prospects for it, but I do think the Dodgers won that deal still. And then the other thing was the Craig Kimbrell to Chicago White Sox, I think was pretty interesting. And with Nick Madrigal going back the other way, give me your thoughts on if there's another trade that you thought of that caught your eye, or those 2 trades.
Yeah, I want to go back to the Dodgers. You mentioned Scherzer and Trey Turner, but I think a very underrated trade that the Dodgers made was getting Danny Duffy from the Kansas City Royals. It just gives them more starting pitching depth. I'm pretty sure Danny Duffy has a sub-3 ERA, if I'm not mistaken. Last time I checked.
I'll take a look for you.
Yeah, but he's another, not only you got Scherzer, but you got another 1, maybe even or 2, definitely a 2 starter in Danny Duffy. Those two are just going to eat up more innings for a Dodger bullpen that's been a little bit iffy this year, especially in recent weeks. So I think that was a very good trade for the Dodgers, and I'm pretty scared about that as a Giants fan.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. But I just wanted to get your opinion about the Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo acquisitions for the Yankees. Do you think that getting both of them was much needed for your team?
Well, I know you haven't been listening to the show because all I can tell you is me and another guy from the show is Kevin Wall. He and I have gone on whenever I have him on his go. Sometimes on Wednesdays we go. He's from New York. He works for one of the radio stations out there as a producer. We go on our what we like to call our 20 to 30 minute Yankee bashing segment. And let's just say we've been looking for left-handed power the entirety of the season. There is recordings. You can hear it on the YouTube channel. You can hear it on the recordings that I posted that I will be posting here. But Adam, when I tell you they needed these types of players desperately, and they went out and got them. Yesterday, they were right-handed, left-handed, right-handed, left-handed, right-handed, left-handed. And I don't understand why Brett Gardner still has a roster spot. Cool, great. You can't cut him. Oh, he's let it. Look, Hicks is terrible. Gardner's terrible. Florial's been great. Greg Allen's great, but he's banged up. DJ LeMahieu likes pulling the ball for some reason now. He had a ball yesterday when they lost 7-1 to the Orioles after it was like, oh, Yankees back to beat the Marlins, where it was middle up away. All he has to do is push it out there, poke it right center field. Rolls over it, double play the second, out of the inning. Yankees leading double plays. But my dream of dreams would have been Matt Olson from the A's to the Yankees. Left-handed first baseman, great fielder. We got the National League version in Anthony Rizzo. And if anything, he's probably better for this team because he takes pitches, works at bats, and he's a great guy to have in the locker room. I'm sure Olson would be kind of more quiet, and I think Rizzo can live up to the expectations, which he already has been. Gallo, I think Yankees fans need to temper their expectations. I think he's been good. He's got a great arm. Obviously, I think he's going to win Gold Glove in the outfield this year, but he's still only hitting 230. But it's left-handed power bat. All he has to do is poke it, and it's gone. So,
especially at Yankee Stadium.
Thank you. And that's all I could ask for was the fact that you're in Yankee Stadium and your top power hitters ready were Gleyber Torres, who's starting to revive and come back right-handed. Aaron Judge, right-handed. Giancarlo Stanton, right-handed. Luke Voit, who's been injured, but right-handed. You had no left-handed bats. You had Aaron Hicks, who was a switch hitter who swings for the fences and doesn't do anything else. I don't like him. Clint Frazier is hurt. And Brett Gardner is not what he used to be. And then Gary Sanchez, right-handed batter. So you bring in Rizzo, you bring in Gallo, that adds more pop and brings more left-handed bats into the lineup. And so it's very encouraging to see them in here. Obviously, Gio Shell is a little banged up right now. And then with another COVID case with Garrett Cole. But now it's time for the hitting to be more consistent because, look, the Yankees will go on runs of 9-3 and then go 2-6. They are so home run dependent. And they, like I said yesterday, they lead the league, or like I said today, they lead the league in double plays. Yesterday, Adam, when I tell you they had a man on second and nobody out, 4 occasions, how many times do you think they scored in last night's game with a man on second and nobody out?
They should average maybe at least twice.
They got 0 times.
Okay.
They had 4 times where there was a man on second yesterday and nobody out. So the same rules apply in the 10th inning or later now. Except this was 4 occasions. They didn't score once.
And with such a star-studded lineup as the Yankees, you gotta expect more.
Gallo's first hit as a Yankee second hit as a Yankee, but first in Yankee Stadium was a double off the right center field wall, and he missed a home run by about this much. 4 feet, maybe of height, and he ripped it. But it's not gone. But no Yankee's been able to do that. And so he gets on second, and then you have nothing after him because they're just doing nothing swinging the fences. So look, Gary Sanchez is cooled way off. Garrett Cole has been very inconsistent since the sticky subs has gone away. Very happy to see Tyon back. Andrew Heaney is a project. He's an analytics dream, right? I don't know if you've seen anything. He's, his spin rate's great. Look, the team needs to now mold together. I think Aaron Boone should still be fired, and I think Brian Cash should be fired. But with the personalities of Gallo and Rizzo, hopefully they can lift the team not only with personality, but with play as well. I'm hoping they can start to, they need to take these next 2 from Baltimore or else they're done. If they're not done already. If by the end of August, if you are more than 7 games out, you're done. And even then that's stretched, probably more than 5. And so all it thinks of is in 2 weeks, the Yankees play the A's here. Yankees are 2.5 back or 3.5 back of the A's for the final wild, or for the final wild card spot. Excuse me. If you're not playing well, the A's will kick their ass. So that's my thoughts on the Yankees right now. It's interesting because they're so inconsistent. One week they're great, the next week they're can't hit a lick. It's concerning, but we'll see where we go from there. And moving in a different direction here. And talking about that Craig Kimbrel trade, I'm a little surprised that he went to the White Sox. I think they did need an arm. I was just a little surprised that they went with Kimbrel. And I'm a little surprised that they gave up on Nick Madrigal, who's out for the year with a torn hamstring.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Madrigal is a great player. I think if you're Chicago, you're ecstatic with that. You got Cody Heuer, who's a late inning guy who's young, and Madrigal, who was having a solid year until he got hurt. Well, there's your Baez replacement if he doesn't resign in the offseason. And Kimbrel, trade him always high. Who's to say he keeps this form up? Obviously, he's been very good, but I mean, they already had Liam Hendricks there. Like I said before, I think they needed another arm, but give me your thoughts on that trade and what the White Sox are doing. And obviously, they just got back Eloy Jimenez, and they're soon to get Luis Robert back. And maybe we'll see the Yerminator again.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I was a White Sox fan now because their roster has a lot of potential. With Yoan Mercado, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert. But I think having two closers in your bullpen is huge. The later innings, man, for the White Sox are pretty much just going to be, if the White Sox have the lead past the seventh inning, it's about it. It's about done for you. So that's great. Those late innings are crucial. Anything can happen.
Especially in the playoffs too. And that's a runaway
division
team. But go ahead, continue. I just had to get that point.
Exactly. No. Yeah. And, Nick Madrigal has a high ceiling. The Cubs should be very happy to get him. I think that was kind of a steal, honestly, because Madrigal, I remember, because I may be a little biased, because I remember watching him in the College World Series when he was at Oregon State, and he was just the best hitter in college baseball at the time. And for being what's his height? I forgot. It was like 5.
He's like 5'9". He's 5'9", not too big. I'll find it for you shortly here while you talk.
Yeah, he's my height, but he can hit the ball. He's just your solid contact hitter, driving it to the gap. Also, he's a great fielder too. And, I think the Cubs got a real one there. So I think, honestly, I'm a little more optimistic about Craig Kimbrel. I think so. I think both sides definitely won on that trade.
Yeah, I think, the White Sox are going for it. They're a young team, so they can easily go for it. And obviously, when I click Nick Madrigal, I only get his age and not his height for some reason. But he's a second baseman. I mean, he's hurt. He's out for the rest of the year. He's cheap. Lots of control. I mean, he has control through 2026. So including this year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So 5 years after this year, he doesn't even have arbitration rights after this season. So I think the Cubs want to get him going. I mean, he's still obviously young. He's 24 years old. And like you said, great contact guy. And if you look at the Cubs now, how they weren't getting a lot of contact, right? I mean, Bryant was good, but Baez is that high strikeout rate. Rizzo, yeah, he works accounts and is a walking machine. But other than that, Wisdom's a power guy. And then, you got Ian Happ, who's having a rough year. You traded Jock Peterson away. It just, them and the Nationals, I think, did a very good job, especially the Nationals did a very good job of selling off the pieces at the height of their value. What I do love is that the Nationals took seriously. Their quote was from the GM was, everybody but Juan Soto is available. So they traded everybody. They traded Scherzer, they traded Turner, they traded Hudson, they traded Hand, they traded Schwarber, which I think was awesome for the Red Sox. I think that's going to be a great, as much as I think that's going to be a great ad. I think the Red Sox needed to add an arm, but maybe Evaldi can get them through to the end. And then the Cubs, obviously, we kind of knew they were going to be sellers a while back. Obviously, they traded, Jock Peterson earlier in the year. Obviously, the three we talked about, Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez. Kimbrel was there. They also traded Ryan Tapia, who also went to the White Sox. So, and I'm sure you've been watching, but the Cubs had an okay starting staff this year, not the greatest, but a stellar bullpen in Ryan Tepera and Craig Kimbrel. And so now that White Sox bullpen is Ryan Tepera, Kimbrel, Hendricks. I mean, are you going to get a hit off him? No. And in the playoffs, with that starting rotation as well, it's dominant. Lucas Giolito, you've got obviously Carlos Rodon is there. Dallas Keuchel is there. Who am I missing here? I'm missing two starters here. that have just been so solid this year for the White Sox.
And they have a healthy lead in their standings too.
Yeah,
It's
that
basically a
contract
lock.
is, or that division is a lock. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a lock. But I kind of wanted to just to mention how much or how quickly the Cubs core, just fell uh, from that 2016 World Series. I thought when they won that World Series that there was a lot more to come with Chris Bryant, Javi Baez. People forget Addison Russell was on that team, Anthony Rizzo. Like it was solid and young too. It was a young core, but everything kind of. Oh, let's not forget Wilson Contreras also. But
he's still there. It's his team now.
yeah, exactly. But I think it kind of started to fall apart for them after the Addison Russell dispute domestic incident. So
Yeah,
it's just
that's
kind of
brutal
sad to
there.
see. Yeah, it's just kind of sad to see the Cubs have so much promise, even after their World Series win, and then just kind of just to trade everyone away in 2021.
It was the dynasty that never was, is what I think people need to start calling it, because there was the bromance between Rizzo and Bryant. Baez was fun to watch, and Contreras was fun to watch, and you had the Albert Almora grand slam walk off that we saw a couple years ago, and they were a fun team to watch that finally got over the hump, and they just could never get over that line again. And I don't know what it was. I don't know. I don't know if it was management this year. I think definitely they held on to Joe Madden a little too long.
Yeah.
But if you look at their pieces, somebody like Chris Bryant and Javi Baez, Bryant, I don't know. Do you know if he's under contract for next year? I'll take a look here. Actually,
Oh, Brian's gonna be a free agent after this year.
Yeah. So as is Javi Baez. So if you think about it, they almost took this almost like an NBA or an NHL trade deadline, right? Free agent. Let me get pieces for a guy because I don't know if I'm going to sign him. Because I also think for the Cubs, this also kind of shows what they're going to do is they didn't really want to spend money. I can see the only of the three guys who got traded, I can only really see Rizzo going back there because I thought he was going to be a Cub for life, and I love seeing him in pinstripes. But to see him not on the Cubs is honestly really weird to me. Of the bullpen arms, I think they're going to go get their money, go where they need to go. But it's gonna be very, very, very interesting, and obviously I think losing Rizzo and Bryant, that was their indictment. You think of the face of the Cubs, it was Rizzo Bryant. It was what did they call it? Brizzo, Bryzzo, and we missed them, and they made commercials. But moving forward here, let's talk about the A's. Let's talk about your crosstown rivals. Let's talk about the A's. They did some really good moves. I like that Yan Gomes and Josh Harrison add. I think they needed another bat, and I think they just needed somebody to help Sean Murphy and somebody who has won it all. I mean, you look at Josh Harrison. I don't know if he was on that World Series team, but Yan Gomes was, and he was starting catching.
Yep.
And then before that, this was the surprising one, was going out and getting Starling Marte, which was awesome. And then all of a sudden you find out Jesus Luzardo.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised that they kind of, and I'm going to say they gave up on Luzardo. He's having a tough year. But man,
did he also break his hand because he got pissed?
He was playing MLB The Show and he smashed his left hand on his chair.
Exactly.
Which is fine, and I do think that might have something to do with it. But Luzardo was arguably their best pitching prospect. Obviously, I think with the emergence of Cole Irvin and James Caprillion, who's now hurt, has really made them more comfortable doing that. And I think they desperately needed another outfielder, right? Because they had Canna in left, they would put Laureano in center, and they were rotating Seth Brown and Piscotty in right field. Piscotty hasn't been the same since the end of 2019. So I like the add of Starling Marte, but losing Luzardo could sting in the future. We'll see. But I really like that Yan Gomes trade. Give me your thoughts on the A's and their moves. And I'm also a little surprised they didn't grab another bullpen arm.
Yeah, well, they're right in the heat with the Houston Astros. So that's definitely going to, and the Seattle Mariners are coming with the resurgence this year, especially after the All-Star break. So you never know what's going to happen. But they're definitely, I think with these moves, they're definitely fighting for that to not be in the wild card.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think getting Starling Marte, so I think he's been underrated his entire career just because he's been with Pittsburgh and Miami. So he's going to be huge. He can run, he can hit for power, he can hit for average. He can steal. His fielding is great too. Like that, I think that's just a great pickup no matter, what team you are. Starling Marte is just going to make your team better. So I think, the A's are going to be in contention with the Astros. The Mariners, who knows if they're going to, keep it up for the rest of the year. But the A's are in a good spot for the rest of the year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they're in a tough division. Obviously, like you said, the Mariners, and I think Mariners fans were a little upset when the Mariners traded their closer Kendall Graveman, former A. But they went ahead and flipped Diego Castillo. Now, they haven't been the greatest since, but Kyle Lewis should be back later this month. And he was the AL Rookie of the Year last year. He's a stud.
Yeah.
And Dylan Moore, who I know from fantasy baseball, he plays about 12 positions. He's their starting second baseman this year. And yes, there are 12 positions in baseball now, apparently. But he's having a rough year. But obviously, you've got Kyle Seager there. UC Kikuchi's having a great year. And overall, we could see them getting through. Obviously, I don't know if they're going to have enough, especially with that lack of experience. But with the addition of Kyle Lewis later this month, it's almost like getting another deadline addition there, much like the Red Sox, who just got Eloy Jimenez and who are eventually going to get Luis Robert back. So the AL West, I don't think is wide open. I think it's only the A's or the Astros to lose. But I think the A's have much more to worry about because the Astros have been just since, about a month before the All-Star break, been very consistent. They win most and lose a couple. So they're kind of winning 2 out of 3 almost every series right now. The A's, very inconsistent. They'll win 5 in a row, then they'll lose 3 in a row. Then they'll win 2 out of 3 against the Rangers. Then they'll win 1 out of 3 against like Kansas City or something. So the A's have been very inconsistent. And I will say this is I'm going to the A's game tomorrow and they play the Padres. And the sole reason why I really wanted to go to either today or tomorrow was because they're playing the Padres. And who's on the Padres, Adam? Tell me, what's the first name you think of on the Padres?
Will Myers?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely who I'm talking about. No, Fernando Tatis Jr. So excited to go see him. So excited. On the IL with his injured shoulder. I was like, are you kidding me? The one guy. So I got to see Ohtani this year. But
now you can watch Will Myers.
Exactly. Well, the other person, I don't know if you've seen Manny Machado's statistics this year. Have you? Oh, the dude is having a tremendous year. He is, he's overpaid. He shouldn't have been an all-star. Machado is tied for the NL League lead in RBIs. He's hitting 284, Adam, with 20 homers and 75 ribbies. He's only struck out 68 times. He's got an on base at 361. His OPS is 882. He and Jake Cronenworth have been great. Trent Grisham has fun to watch, but he's been slumping massively. Obviously, I don't know who's pitching, but I would like to see, like a Yu Darvish, a pitcher, somebody along those lines. They also, why did it just switch the White Sox when I went to pitching? I'm on the Padres. But Yu Darvish would be good. Joe Musgrove, he's been there. Blake Snell, I don't know if he's been the greatest, but that's gonna be a fun watch. And I think the A's need to win that series. It's obviously a 2-gamer, but it's gonna be a little interesting. But
and the Padres need to win that series too.
Oh, definitely. And before we move on here to the last little trades here, did you see what the MLB free TV game was tonight?
No, I did not.
It is Dodgers versus Astros in Dodger Stadium. They have game 1 of a 3-game series starting tonight. This is the first time.
Great.
This is the first time they are playing with fans against each other. Actually, they didn't play against. They played against each other last year because it was AL West, NL West. But this is the first time they're facing off. Fully set up, like with fans. Crazy. This is gonna be a fun one.
Well, I went to the Giants game when they played the Astros just last few days ago. And even Giants fans, including myself, whenever Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa would come up, the boos were outrageous and the heckling was outrageous. So I just can't wait to see what the Dodgers fans come up with.
And it's free. So you know how MLB.TV, they do the free game of the day. That game is free. And I'm ecstatic. I have it. I'm going to watch it. But before we move on here to our next topic, talking a little NBA here next, were you at the game where Altuve hit the grand slam to shut the crowd up?
Yes, unfortunately, I was.
Funny enough that you said that. Were you booing the crap out of him and then he hit it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Early in the year, I think it was May, either April or May, I went to A's Astros and Altuve leads off and we're booing the crap out of the crowd. Cheater, you suck. First pitch home run for Altuve. So I think he's feeding off it. And look,
he loves it, I bet.
As much as I hate the Astros, if they win it this year, at least they deserve at least one. They don't deserve the one they won before, but if they win it this year, they've been great. And
even without Bregman.
Right. And they just traded Abraham Toro, who went to the Mariners, who's finally breaking out. Finally. Bregman should be back soon. And again, that's another guy that you could look at, like another trade addition. But you know what? Why don't you give me your division winners for each league? and then your World Series prediction and winner, and then we'll go ahead and move on here to the NBA.
Wow. Okay. Well, man, you know what? I'm going to say my Giants are going to hold it out and take the NL West.
Woo.
And I think that the Mets have the NL East, especially with the, you could say the Braves, but, they lost Acuna. So I think that's just a heartbreaker right there. So the Mets got that. Brewers going to take the NL Central. They have a sizable lead already. It's going to continue. The Rays and Red Sox.
That's a close one. And then Yankees, if they get hot for some reason.
Yeah, and you got to watch out for those Yankees. And even the Blue Jays. Let's throw in the Blue Jays for crying out loud.
That's going to be a fun division.
Yeah, that's going to be a toss-up. But I think to win the AL, I will have to go with the Astros just because of the experience. I would pick the White Sox, but just the experience of the Astros and just the veteran power that they have, the veteran presence that they have, I think they could definitely easily win it again. But they're not going to beat my Giants. I'm going to stick with my Giants to win it all. I think.
Wow.
Call me biased. Call my opinion subjective. But I'm going to hold true to my Bay Area team. It's a new decade. It's an odd year this year. So I think the things are going to switch up. 2010s, even year. 2020s, it'll be the odd years. And it starts with 2021.
I love that. I love that take. It's a new decade. Go odd years this time around.
Exactly.
I think that would be an awesome final series. I think that would be a great World Series. I mean, you got Chris Bryant in there versus Bregman. At second base, Tommy LaStella, if he comes back against Altuve, the shortstops, Crawford, Correa, and the pitching staffs, if they stay consistent, McCullers, Greinke, you got Descalfani and Gosman, right? They may not be household names. I mean, they are now, but they're not like top of the line guys. They could be great. And obviously you got Posey in there and Michael Brantley, who's leading the league in hitting. That would be a great series. For me, I'm a little different. I do think we could, I agree with you. I think the Astros are going to go to the World Series, and I hate to say that, but their experience is good. And I don't like Tony La Russa as a manager. And I think the Yermin Mercedes sent down, I think is a curse for the White Sox. I think unless they bring him up and keep him on for the playoffs after the September call-ups, they're not going anywhere. They're going to get
the baseball gods will dictate that.
Right. Baseball gods are changing. They liked what Mercedes did when he was 3-0 and up big and he hit that home run. I like the Yermin, but he also needs to get his mind right. But I think NL West, I think Giants drop to the number 2 spot, stay ahead of the Padres, get to a wild card, and I do think they will beat the Padres. And I think the Padres will choke because they just don't have the starting pitching. And I think the Giants bullpen will kind of keep them involved, especially with the addition of Tony Watson and things like that. In the NL Central, it's the Brewers. It's a runaway train. You're not going to get in there. NL East, I mean, it's a tire fire division. I think it's the Mets. I don't really see anybody else coming back. Obviously, Nationals sold. And then Miami stinks. In the AL East, I think the Rays, they just took the lead and they're going to go. This is just a launching point for them. And then I think it's between the Yankees and Red Sox to go after one wild card spot because I don't see the A's losing one. But if we get a Yankees Red Sox wild card game in either of the stadiums, that would be so awesome.
That would be insane.
And honestly, I kind of want it in Yankee Stadium because if you look at the power we've got, right? Red Sox, you got Schwarber, Verdugo, Devers, left-handed bats, right? And then some.
Mm-hmm.
Yankee Stadium,
it's going to be a home run derby.
Right. You're going to have Judge Stanton, and then you got Gallo, Rizzo, and that's going to be a great series. I almost want to see them play in the division series, but I don't think I think only of those 3 teams, obviously one was division. I think one of them's winning the wild card. AL Central, White Sox, easy runaway. And I think in the AL West, obviously the Astros, and I think the A's hold on to a wild card spot. Hopefully I'd like to go to A's Yankees wild card game in Oakland. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be fun.
But I digress. Not that it matters. NBA free agency began. I will touch on some hockey on Friday. Excuse me, Adam is not a big hockey guy, and this is his first show. I want to make sure he's doing things he's comfortable with. And look, I've been gone for a week. I lost my Zadie, my grandpa. I just want to dedicate the show to him. It was his time. He was 85, and I love you very much, Zadie. And I just got back from New York yesterday, so I just want to dedicate the show to him and say thank you for all the Yankees and Rangers and Mets memorabilia, whether that's bobbleheads. I have his old tie that he used to wear to work. I forgot a tie and they didn't bury him in a tie, so I wore it. Has the coffee stain at all. He's given me bullpen gum. He's given me signatures. One of my favorite stories with him is, and you'll get a kick out of this, is in 2009 or 2008. It was last year in Yankee Stadium, old Yankee Stadium before the new one came out. And he is a security guard. So he was a security guard for the Mets for a while, and he was out on the field. And he told me he asked David Wright, Johan Santana, and Jose Reyes for a ball at the All-Star game so that he could send it to his grandson, me. Well, if I remember correctly, and I don't know how true this is, but this is what I remember it as. David Wright caught a foul out to end the game for the NL to win. Instead of throwing that ball to the stands, he put it in his bag and gave it to my grandpa and then gave it to me. I think that ball's either in my garage or my closet. I don't know where, but it's a 2008 All-Star Game Yankees ball, game used. And I was in California. And so I have all this stuff, right? So this Jets posters from him, the Rangers posters from him, another Yankees posters from him. I mean, he worked in Madison Square Garden. So Zadie, I love you. Dedicate the show to you. And, I will remember you. And unfortunately, he was more of a Mets fan than a Yankees fan, but he could not hate either team. So I'll be okay with it. But I mean, he's helped a lot of friends and family that I've seen go to games. So forever love you. But let's move forward here. He worked Knicks games as well. And speaking of New York Knicks, they've signed Evan Fournier. And yes, I will go out with my Knicks, even though I'm not a huge basketball fan. I watched them this year. They've got, they upgraded Reggie Bullock, who left for the Mavericks. They're getting better. They upgraded Reggie Bullock, who went to the Mavericks, with Evan Fournier. I think Fournier is a good two-way player. He can hit that outside shot. And I will say this, former Knick, Carmelo Anthony, three up here, he's going to Lakers, and him and LeBron finally get to be on the team. And I think we could see some sort of Olympic Carmelo, don't you think? Olympic Carmelo. But I gather you're a Warriors fan. Curry finally signs his deal. Give me your thoughts on their drafting and what the Warriors, what you think they might want to do here in free agency.
Well, I am very excited. Before heading into the draft, I thought they were going to trade away their picks, and that's what I initially wanted them to do, especially for someone like Bradley Beal. I wanted the 7 and 14 to go to the Wizards for Bradley Beal. Throw in maybe Wiseman, Wiggins in that trade too. But I just wanted another star player to pair to get another big three with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. But when they had the opportunity to draft Jonathan Kuminga, when Jonathan Kuminga dropped to the 7th spot, which I did not expect, I was thinking the Warriors just got their future star. And then we add number 14, Moses Moody. Moses Moody even dropped in the draft as well. He dropped to 14, and the Warriors got him. They were thinking of getting Moses Moody at number 7 initially, but they couldn't pass up on Jonathan Kuminga. So they got both of what they wanted. Kuminga, he's raw. He's obviously, he just doesn't have the veteran presence. So he's raw. He's young. He's only 18 years old. So he's definitely going to be a project. I don't expect him to contribute much this year. Maybe a little, I would say even a little less than what James Wiseman contributed last year, if I'm being honest. But the future is definitely bright for the Warriors in terms of Jonathan Kuminga if they don't trade him away before the season starts. Moses Moody is a 3-and-D player. We needed someone like that. We needed someone who could shoot the ball, but also play, tough defense. So the Arkansas prospect is going to be great for us. We also got Otto Porter in free agency, which is huge. He's basically going to fill in the role that Kelly Oubre had after, he's a free agent as well. And he made it clear that he's not going to sign back with the Warriors. So they get Otto Porter for a veteran minimum. I think they need another big man to contend for a championship this year. But other than that, I'm very excited for the Warriors. The Lakers, they added Russell Westbrook, and as you said, Carmelo Anthony just a few minutes ago. Carmelo is he's such 37. A wild card. He's such a wild card. He's definitely going to make his threes. He's definitely going to shoot the ball. He's going to come he's going to come off the bench though. So that's going to be pretty valuable, I think, for the Lakers. But other than that, we'll see how much he actually contributes. But the Russell Westbrook one really intrigues me as well. I want to get your thoughts on the Russell Westbrook addition to the Lakers.
Look, this is the first time in NBA history where an MVP has been on a different team for the 3 years afterwards. So he won MVP, and then he was on a different team, and then he's on another team, and now he's on the Lakers. So he went from Oklahoma City to Houston after winning the MVP, and then he went to Washington this past year, and he did win MVP, obviously. And then now he's on LA. I don't know if it's just basketball. I don't think it is. I think he needs to be less selfish, hopefully. I mean, you're going to have 3 guys there that want the ball in LA. You're going to have Westbrook, AD, and Anthony Davis, and LeBron James, and then Carmelo. When he's on there, he's going to want to get his shots up. I don't know how that's going to work. I I like the moves, but I feel like they're kind of playing NBA 2K a little bit, like these guys are not young. And LeBron's starting to wear down a little bit. He's still a great player, top 5 player in the NBA. AD's a piece of glass. Melo is 37 and Westbrook has been good, but he's not MVP Westbrook, Oklahoma City Thunder, stud for 5 years. Like he's gonna get banged up a little bit here. He plays physical. So look, they've got older. Do I think this is a championship team? Yeah. But I mean, they also had a Dwight Howard. Like, are we in 2015, 2014?
This
right?
is his third stint with the Lakers.
Right. And Howard Simon was like, yeah, I'm ready to rejoin the Lakers and contribute this time. How much can you really contribute when you didn't twice already and you've gotten older? So the Lakers are almost their playoff team, and I think they're a top 5 team in the Western Conference. But the Warriors, I think, will be better this year. Obviously, Utah's going to be good. Phoenix is going to be good. Don't remind me that Chris Paul contract, because 4 years is way too long for him.
I don't understand
at that price. I like adding him. I think it should have been 2 year with a team option.
Of course, yeah.
But that's an ideal world. Not that matters. But and obviously Memphis is going to get better. Denver's going to get Jamal Murray back. It's West Conference is going to be good, and in the East, the one I kind of didn't really see coming, but I kind of did, was the Kyle Lowry to Miami Heat. I like that. I think they needed a point guard. Jimmy Butler's still there. Obviously, you're going to have Tyler Hero. I almost said thank you for not giving me his name, but you didn't. I remembered it myself. I'm proud of me because I don't know basketball.
There you go.
But look, obviously Giannis is still going to be there, but I don't know. This free agency has been wild, but I can't say that we didn't see any of this coming because of Woj. Woj is just dropping bombs beforehand. I will say this. I think John, that's his job. He's really good at it and I appreciate it. And I like it for trades, but for drafts, not so much. And that's also with the NHL expansion draft. All the insiders dropped who the Seattle Kraken were going to pick 8 hours before the Kraken actually picked. So we know who was on the team. So it was brutal. So one of the things I think is with John Morant, when he tweeted out, hey, can we not have the insiders tweet out who they're going to pick 5 minutes before they're going to pick them? I'd like to be surprised, because 2 weeks ago, all the insiders did that for the Seattle Kraken draft. And he's like, I just want to be surprised. So, but when it comes to free agency, look, NBA free agency, these contracts are a lot, but I'm waiting to see till we see one that we truly don't see a fit for. I think we see ones where like, okay, he can work there. He might be able to do it. But I think there's going to be 1 or 2 contracts that are going to come out soon. And I don't know who, or maybe a sign and trade where it's going to be like, well, that's a good move. Like that can really kind of change a team's fortunes. Cause I feel like right now a lot of people are just adding players and they haven't really, done much. So someone like Denver hasn't done much. Someone like Utah hasn't done much. Now, I don't know if they can, but there's going to be a couple teams here that are going to sign somebody that's going to be like, oh, or do a sign and trade. It's going to be like, oh, they just added that. Does this make them a contender? And I'm waiting for that move to happen, because right now I just see people adding names. Kyle Lowry.
Well, it's been tough.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Sorry to cut you off, but it's been tough because prior to, Kawhi Leonard declining his option, technically making him a free agent, although I'm pretty sure he's going to sign with the Clippers again. But this free agency class was a little thin. I think the next best available players that you have are John Collins, DeMar DeRozan, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kelly Oubre, Dennis Schroeder. So, these guys, they're high especially John Collins and DeMar DeRozan, high impact players.
Well, hold on with DeMar DeRozan. I have news for you. As of 36 minutes ago, the Bulls are finalizing a sign and trade deal to acquire DeMar DeRozan.
Well, there you go. They got Lonzo Ball and DeMar right there. I mean, the Bulls had a good roster now after those, especially after the Lonzo Ball acquisition. Yeah, I think the Bulls are going to be healthy this year.
And I think that's one of those ads. That's the first kind of ad where I'm like, okay, that ad might change this team, right? I think Levine needed help. Lonzo, we'll see if he continues development. He's a smart player. Let's see if he can continue it. But DeMar DeRozan's a shooter. He's going to get his shots up. But, I'm going to go to my next year. I'm very happy they brought back, or they used the player option on Mitchell Robinson. They brought back, obviously, D Rose, which is great. Everybody's a fan favorite. We love him. And Alec Burks, former Warrior, brought him back, and obviously Fournier. But I still think the Knicks are missing something. I don't know what's going to happen. I like their draft. They did a lot of job with assets. They brought back Taj Gibson for a year. But give me a sleeper team this year, for you this year. Not, that might make a run. And I wouldn't put Atlanta there because we know they can kind of make it. Give me a kind of sleeper team that you're watching out for, and what kind of deal do you think Ben Simmons of the 76ers is going to get for the 76ers?
So to go back to your first question, I think in the Eastern Conference, the Bulls, I'm going to go back to the Bulls. They're going to make a good run after acquiring Lonzo Ball. They got Vukovic. They got Zach LaVine. They got Patrick Williams, who was the most underrated rookie last year. They have Wendell Carter Jr. So they have young players. They could be the next year or this year's Hawks. Next year's Hawks. I'm sorry. Just in terms of, a team that really doesn't have a lot of expectations, but they have a lot of young players and a lot of very athletic players and players who let's not forget Kobe White as well. So just that type of roster, I think it's pretty deep. It's sneaky deep, and they could make a run if everyone stays healthy. In the Western Conference, I really want to say the Pelicans for some reason, just because they got Zion. We'll see. They got Brandon Ingram. They lost. They don't have a point guard. Yeah, they lost Lonzo. They don't really have a point guard right now.
We'll see what they can do. Sign and trade. Maybe they go after. Who knows? Maybe they go after Lillard. Maybe that's where Lillard goes if he leaves Portland. Maybe. I don't think he does, but
yeah,
that's another team I was thinking as Pelicans. They don't have Lonzo, but Zion and Ingram are good. Ingram needs to get more consistent. He has the build of Kevin Durant, doesn't have the shot or the style of Kevin Durant. Zion is a freak of nature and is very good. And he's the kind of player who I don't think is going to have a huge window. I think he's going to be good for a long time, but of his stardom, it's only going to be his first 5-6 years at most, because he just is so powerful. I think his body's going to wear down, kind of like Draymond Green, but I think he's going to be better than Draymond Green once his body starts to wear down a little bit. But if they can get a point guard, I think that could be huge. And I think I would have loved to see Chris Paul go there, but I really didn't think he was leaving Phoenix. And for that money, I'm very happy the Pelicans didn't go after him. That contract was a little bit much. The other thing is, you forgot to add one more person. The Bulls also signed Alex Caruso from the Lakers, 4-year, $37 million contract.
That's another key piece on their bench.
Yes, it's a great piece on their bench. And the other team is I'd like to look at is the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, you're going to re-sign Luka. Who knows what they do with Porzingis, but they signed Sterling Brown, Reggie Bullock. They've got Tim Hardaway re-signed there, I believe. And we'll see what they can do here, because they're another team that kind of people want to see more out of. And Luka's killing it in the Olympics now, and we'll see if it's Luka versus the U.S. in the finals in the gold medal game, which I do think Luka is going to win, by the way. But give me your last thoughts on the NBA free agency and what you kind of expect to see here out. And does Ben Simmons get moved? And if so, for what?
Yeah, I think just the biggest moves have yet to happen. And it's because of and it's going to happen to trade. It's going to be Bradley Beal, Ben Simmons, Damian Lillard. And out of all those guys, of course, Ben Simmons is most likely to get moved with that descending order: Ben Simmons, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, in my opinion. But when it comes to Ben Simmons, the asking price the 76ers want is just so high.
They said, quote, they want a James Harden type deal.
Exactly. I don't know what team is going to give up that many assets for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is still a great player. His stock went down heavily during the playoffs. I don't think he's a player that you can kind of build your team around, that you can rely on, especially in the fourth quarter. But he's definitely just a player. He's definitely a player on a championship team with a high impact contribution on a championship team. I can't really give you an answer as to who would be willing to give up that many assets for him. I don't know. The 76ers are probably going to have to settle on something less than what they're hoping for when it comes down to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, it's going to be a fun season. I think the NBA did a good job. They obviously they voted to continue the play-in game or play-in rounds again for another year, which I'm very happy about. I think it was fun. I mean, people were like, "Oh, LeBron didn't like it. He liked it, then he didn't like it when he was in it." But he beat the Warriors, and that made for good TV. And I think the NBA loved it. I had fun with it. It made things exciting because it also makes things being better than the regular season. It gives more to it.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and move on here too. We got about 10 minutes left. Adam, thank you for joining me. Obviously, he's a baseball star, like I said before, Trinity University, baseball star at what was it? Was it San Francisco? Was it Fire for the men's league team?
San Francisco Fire.
Yeah, let's go. And hopefully you hit home run there. Because let's say, you didn't at Trinity. But we're not going to talk about that. He's a speed demon, ladies and gentlemen. But let's talk about the other
I hit one a couple weeks ago.
Oh, there you go.
I got my home run for the year.
There you go. He got his one. Let's talk about here. We have training. I can't talk because I almost said fantasy camp. And I meant to say training camp for the NFL has begun. And the Aaron Rodgers saga is not over in Green Bay. I'm a little surprised he reported for the first day. And they said, oh, you reported. Here's Randall Cobb, who just is not the same. But, there's a lot. I mean, and then the Jets, Zach Wilson's contract, but I'm happy he's in there now. But give me your thoughts on the whole Aaron Rodgers saga. I want to know what you thought was going on. They restructured his contract to be free agent after next year. He's only going to make $27 million this year, only 27. He's going to make a whole bunch of $46 million cap hit next year. Give me your thoughts on the Aaron Rodgers ordeal.
Well, prior to the NFL draft months ago, I was really hoping that he would join the 49ers in the trade, but instead we got Trey Lance. So, hey, I'm completely fine with that. But, Aaron Rodgers, it's an interesting dynamic between him and Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, he wants to be on a winning team, and the Packers, I don't know. The addition of Randall Cobb is not going to make anything.
Well, let me cut you off here. I think the Packers are a winning team. I think he just wanted to be a part of the discussions on how to build the team. I mean, if there's anybody with a handle in the locker room, it's him.
Okay. Yeah. No, thanks for clarifying that. Because to be honest, I haven't really followed up on ever since the Niners had no chance of getting Aaron Rodgers. I kind of just forgot about him.
Well, yeah. It was much like before I compared it to the Deshaun Watson before the incidents happened, where he wanted to be a part of a team, team discussions. Who should we target? He doesn't want to be the guy to be like, get him or else I'm leaving. He wants to be included in those conversations. And to go through what he did and say he might retire, oh, trade me, I don't want to be here, for him to walk up on day before camp so we can go to team meetings. Like, Le'Veon Bell sat out for a whole year. Well, I think locker room is still behind Aaron Rodgers because it's Aaron Rodgers. But Le'Veon Bell sat out for a whole year. Darrelle Revis sat out for most of camp till he got what he wanted. So I don't know if I don't think it's good for the rest of the NFL for players if they want to do something similar. But you look at the Chiefs, Chiefs, not only did Chiefs recognize the need an offensive line because Mahomes was running for his life, but they included him and said, who do you think we should go after? And then he gave him ideas. It wasn't just get him or else, all bets are off. They included him in building of the team. It's a lot kind of like what LeBron's doing with the Lakers, but not officially, right? He's like, I want this guy, sign him. And the Lakers, okay. He just wants to be included. So I just don't know if it's a bad look for Rodgers to just make that whole spiel and then show up like nothing happened.
Yeah. I don't think anyone will be able to read, certainly not I would be able to read into what that mindset is like and what that move means for him and his future with the organization. I think if I had to guess, it's probably just to keep the morale of the team up, keep the hopes up, keep everything solidified going into training camp, going into the season, not just to keep the drama at a minimum going into the season.
Yeah, I think that's honestly a perfect way of putting it. I didn't even think about that. I think that's a great thought here. And as a Niners fan, give me your thoughts on their prediction. We've got up to 5 minutes left here. Are you happy with Trey Lance? Do you think he gets in any games this year? I think he does because Jimmy G gets hurt. Kittle's back. What happened with Richard Sherman? We still don't know, waiting details. Obviously Nick Bosa's back and he's still debating to get a vaccine, but get one. But I digress. Not that it matters. I hope you're vaccinated. Pfizer gang here. But give me your Niners thoughts. Oh yeah, we're not here. That's why we got chemistry. Give me your thoughts on the Niners and what do you think their expectation is? Because they've had that Super Bowl year, then the injuries, then they were more injured. And give me what you got on the Niners.
Yeah, this year's going to be a lot better. We have some injuries definitely in our when it comes to our defensive backs. Richard Sherman was a free agent. So he obviously is not going to be here for this year. But when it comes to our core, we got Jimmy G, Trey Lance. if Jimmy G stays healthy, he's not going to get into any games. I don't see them benching Jimmy Garoppolo at all.
Nope.
So Jimmy G is going to be their guy for the foreseeable future. Trey Lance is going to be the project. He's going to be Green Bay's Jordan Love, except he's probably going to dress for games. And it's just going to be up to our defensive line. That's pretty much our X factor, because Nick Bosa was out last year. We had Solomon Thomas who was out last year. So that would having Nick Bosa and possibly D Ford back on the other side of that defensive line is going to be absolutely huge.
Well, they signed D Ford to that max 4-year deal, didn't they?
Well, he's been hurt all year. I don't know about any contract negotiations, but he's definitely.
Oh no, it's Fred Warner. They signed that contract, right?
Yes, Fred Warner.
That's what it
got
was,
the extension, the max extension. D Ford, he's just been hurt with a neck and back injury. But Fred Warner is just going to be. He's just the greatest linebacker in the NFL, in my opinion. So he's going to be. He's going to be great. He's going to be great. Sorry, Bobby Wagner, but. Other than that, I think another X factor when it comes to our offense, because our wide receiver core is going to be great. Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk.
If he stays healthy.
If they both stay healthy. It's all about health when it comes to the Niners, honestly.
That's an understatement. Them and
the Mets. Especially with Raheem Mostert as well. But I think the acquisition of Trey Sermon during the draft is going to be great. So, we got we got depth, we have talent, but we just need to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, staying healthy is the key for any team. I know you weren't listening before the shows because you just got introduced to this, but the biggest thing I talked about was staying healthy. The Mets are beaten to the ground. The Yankees are always injured. I was always guessing how many at-bats Judge and Stanton were going to have this year. And the Jets, they've dealt with injuries in the past, but Zach Wilson, they treated him dirty. They drafted for him, and then I don't know what was going on with the Jets, the contract negotiations. I'm glad they got him in, on day 2 of training camp. That's what I'm looking for. And they are finally rolling now. Elijah Moore's been a stud in camp throughout. So
before you go any further, I want to get your opinion on Zach Wilson. What did you think about the Jets pretty much pre-picking him before the draft, just being dead set on Zach Wilson?
Good. Go get your guy, right? If he's your guy, you knew who's going number 1, go get your guy. And with about a minute left here, go get your guy. They never they drafted an old lineman from USC, forget his name, right away after him. And then they drafted Elijah Moore. So Darnold didn't get that. And then they've got the running back, I'm forgetting his name. I think, is it Carl Edwards maybe? And then obviously Ty Johnson's still there. And they brought in Tevin Coleman. I think it's going to hurt that they didn't get to get Coach Knapp there, and thoughts and prayers up to him. He passed away. Appreciate it. Thinking of his family, things like that. But for Zach Wilson, he's raw talent. Go get your guy, and hopefully, Robert Saleh's good. And Adam, wrapping up here, I just want to say thank you for joining me. Any last words before we have to go here? We got about 30 seconds.
Yeah, catch UFC 265 this Saturday. It's Derek Lewis versus Ciryl Gane for interim heavyweight championship. I'm a little upset that we didn't get to talk about that, but I'm so happy that we talked about everything else that we have this hour. So Max, thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast. I hope we can do this again. But yeah, thank you. This was awesome.
Adam, it's been a pleasure having you on. Check out Not That It Matters with Max Miller on YouTube. This has been Not That It Matters. Check out the Hockeyholic with James Letters next. Keep listening to Bench Sports. Thanks, guys.